Cool. And we're live.
Cool.
All right. Well, we got some of the team here, which is pretty great. I know we got a product hunt going on in the background. How are we feeling, team? I mean, it's been a crazy past couple of weeks, but how's everyone doing?
Ready.
Hi, we got a lot of caffeine going over here.
Yeah, I got the water. I don't need any more caffeine. I mean, I'm gonna sleep all next weekend, but we got our product hunt out. Shout out to Brian and Sam and everyone on the ML team. Getting all the new models in there and a whole bunch of stuff around the live context. I know it's not perfect, but it will get a lot better. So I think we'll demo that, which would be cool. Shout out to Mac and Mark burning the midnight oil last night until like 4 a.m. I think we got off the Google Meet. It was wild. And we're like, this thing's tagged and built. And then we were like, all right, got to get to bed. But yeah, I mean, Mark and Mac, how'd you guys feel about some of the stuff we were doing last night?
Good.
Yeah, Mac, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a whirlwind leading up to it, right? Like, so many moving parts in the release from, the top of the supply chain with the front end all the way down to the bottom with machine learning. Like yesterday was wild because we got people like Rosie in the testing channels coming up with issues and stuff like that. And then Brian, Mark, myself just swarm and we're like trying to get information and debug. But overall, towards the end of the night last night we were feeling good. I don't know if that was just in the twilight zone because we hadn't slept much and we were just like whatever, but at the end of the day we got it out. We've got some exciting new patches that we're going to hot fix here likely at the end of the day today with regard to performance and theming and sizing and spacing. And I know that the machine learning team and the infrastructure side of things has some big time improvements. So overall feeling good. Yeah.
And then we got Rosie and sorry, Mark.
Go ahead. No, feeling really good too. Yeah, even just like last night, we had a hard deadline at 3 a.m. It's like right when the product hunt launched. So I got to make sure everything's in. Yeah. And we were like 6 minutes before the deadline, so it's just like just in the nick of time. Yep. But yeah, no, just even like a couple hours, like an hour and a half, 2 hours before, back, Nathan, like absolutely drilling the AOT builds or whatever, just so we can get like Gemini 1.5 Flash and Pro just squeezed, right in there. It's not perfect, just like Savo said, but we'll have patches over the next couple of days, specifically with regard to the live context.
Yeah. What was hilarious for me was it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I forget who it was, but I think it may have been Savo. You alluded to like covering something in our What's New sort of pop-up that pops up in the desktop app.
Yeah.
It's like, oh crap, we still need to do that. And so it was like between 10 and 12, we were cranking out the What's New. I was like, oh man.
I know. Yeah, that was pretty funny. And then we had Rosie and Cole and Mason and everyone on the growth team like prepping to hand off the baton. I'm like sending my Twitter email and password and stuff to people. I'm like, yeah, just post whatever you want, do what you will, which is hilarious. So it was nice to see some of that. But we got a lot of good stuff here. So I think we'll get into some of the demos. I think maybe Brian, we start with some of your stuff around the local models. If you wanted to share your screen and kind of walk us through what's new.
Yeah, for sure. Let me clean up my desktop. I have like a million windows open right now. I'm trying to update our quadrant database. So,
nice.
It's probably gonna be pretty raw because we're troubleshooting live, right? So product hunt's gone out, and the team, Mark and some of the team has been looking into some stuff with our JetBrains plugin. I've been looking into some of the performance with the Copilot. Brian's obviously working on some stuff with regard to what he's doing with the large language models. So we're about to get pretty raw here.
Yeah. But to be fair, I'm keeping an eye on the support lines and the GitHub, and it's been pretty quiet, which is amazing. That means that if people aren't calling it in, then things are good. We've gotten a lot better at doing major releases in the last couple of releases and without breaking things. And so I'm very proud of this team for kind of building towards that. So it was a good day.
We were trying. There was a lot of pushing and praying last night. It was like clear the GitHub caches, make just create a space line and push it up to run another build. And then you're just like waiting for like 10, 15 minutes. And then like, oh man, got to do it again. But no, we got it done. So yeah, I think we got some fun community members rolling in. And I think the goal is just to be around 45 minutes or so, just kind of showing some stuff. And, if people pop in from the product hunts, we'll answer questions.
I'm going to say hi to a couple people really quick. Hey, Henry. Hey, Bjorn. Hey, Arindam, Shive, Ellie, Amitesh, Christine, all of the usual suspects. Michael, what's up, guys? Thanks for joining us. Hey, Vikram. These are all the people that we're so grateful for all you. You just hear all the time.
Huge shout out. Yeah, JetBrains is getting approved right now. We're waiting on their team, but
with the debug build. Sorry, I have so many versions of pieces installed right now from our debugging.
No worries.
We'll go from applications. Also, if anyone was following along there, I was just I was mimicking like model downloads of like 10 models. So I was just copying them from my debug to my production database. Where is piece? I installed it with the
nice
with the package installer.
Sweet.
I don't know why it's not in the applications.
Yeah,
oh, I'm just blind.
There we
go. We're good. There we go. Cool. Yeah, show off some of our new models. So I should have I just mocked the download, so I hope it has them in there. Yep. So we got Mistral. So to cover, for everyone who's not aware, the new models added were Phi 3 Mini, which is quite small. I believe it's like maybe 3 billion parameters. They have a 128K version, a 4K version. And then we also have added Llama 3, 8 billion, 3 new Gemma models, 2 billion, which is pretty cool for memory efficiency. Same ones. And then Granite, which I guess you were saying, Sava, these are hilarious. And I think Rosie, you posted one that, like an example that was probably the best of this. You asked WPE with Granite what I've been up to, and one word that says pieces.
Oh man, I know, so bad.
Isn't exactly what you're looking for, but it's exactly what you said, Sava. That it's like it is the most blunt LLM I've ever seen. It'll give you the example. It'll give you what you want, but maybe not what you need.
That's true.
I like that they all have different personalities. Like one of this isn't local, but I think it was the newest Gemini sent me a smiley face today. Haven't gotten that before. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Hello.
Yeah, Gemini's got the emojis going on right now, which is pretty fun. Yeah. No, I literally laughed out loud last night about IBM. It was hilarious.
But let me run a couple of these. So just to show off how fast some of these can be, let me activate the 2 billion one here, and we'll see just a regular chat. And be like, write a CUDA kernel for matrix multiplication. And so it's going to lag at first. Wow. So that was crazy fast. Is it before you write a first message, it has to load that model fully into memory and like instantiate the session and then ask the question. So the next question would be even faster. So the fact that appeared that quickly was pretty cool. So that speaks to the power of like a 2 billion parameter model.
And Brian, that was a topic. So we were at Microsoft's headquarters, I think a week ago, and we were chatting with their MPU team and their Phi 3 team, on-prem there. And that was a hot topic, which is time to first token. So you got tokens per second, which is, actually blazing right here, but also that time to first token is a big one. And that's
absolutely. Yeah. So we should see this. Oh, well, let me click one of these follow-up questions and it should be even faster. Well, maybe now that it should have a larger context. But yeah, look how fast it was. I mean, it's like beyond human readable speed. So that's what you get from a 2 billion parameter model, which is pretty great. Let's try some other ones. Of course, the Mistral will continue to work. That's honestly fairly outdated at this point. That was probably about 6 months ago. I believe the best model that we currently ship on device is the Llama 3 8 billion, especially in terms of live context. I believe I have it. No, I did not have it on. Let me try.
Kick out to the browser.
Yeah, let me pull up something on let's try Google Cloud Doc.
Let's ask a Llama 3 model about Google Cloud.
The irony. Yeah, so let's give it things to talk about here.
Nice. Cool. CPUs.
Nice. And that's a question. How do I serve an LM on GKE? Hope he uses my browsing history. We'll see. So the first question here, like I said, it's going to load this 8 billion parameter model into memory first and then ask a question. So there's going to be a bit of a lag, but it's working. Here we go. Based on your history, you're exploring the Kubernetes engine. Pretty much correctly identify that whole page. So
that's wild.
Yeah, so like within like a minute there, I was able to fire up a completely new session with an on-device model, read a web page, turn the engine on, is writing out to Quadrant tens of times, and then we're able to pull that in and reference it in a chat. I mean, the infrastructure to do what I just did there is the culmination of like months of work. I mean, that's incredible that we're able to to get that with such like high fidelity.
It's wild. You could try it from try and ask it the question, go to a new browser page and ask it like, what was I just researching in Google Chrome?
Let's see. Let's do how to sort of model in Onyx runtime. And from here, see if it'll get this.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. The 8 billion is still a bit slow, but it looks like it got my that was my previous one.
Ask it like anything about Onyx runtime.
What have I been researching about Onyx runtime?
And I will say that kind of referencing around just now or whatever. I know that's due for some really nice improvements that have been coming down the pipeline. That's all right.
Okay. It works like you've been so still, this is a good example. Let me switch now to the cloud model. If for as good as Llama 3 is for this, like this was a great answer here.
Yep.
The cloud, if you're able to, the cloud models are always going to provide the best experience for live context. There's just no question about it. They have a massive, they're faster, larger models. They'll be more accurate. They're faster because they're hosted on like incredibly large servers. So let's ask this here. Research, and let's see if we'll get it now. Maybe we just actually didn't clip that and add it to Quadrant. Oh, there it is, and it's in there.
Nice. That's awesome.
So there you have it. The local models are good in some cases for live context, but if you have the ability, the full large models are going to give you the best performance without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. And for the Phi 3, that has a larger context window, right? So you could try and paste like a good bit of code in there and see like I don't know if you have a large code block, but see what it thinks about it.
We can try. So I was just explaining an issue. I'm researching this right now.
Okay.
With both of those Phi 3 models, they sometimes start to produce some gibberish after like 2 to 3K tokens in the context.
Okay.
I think it's a known bug that we have an issue open for it on GitHub. I'm doing some research. But we can try. As long as it's not beyond like 2 or 3K, it should perform well. So let's give it a shot. So let me switch to Phi here.
Yeah, and I guess this is timely here. We have a question from Henry. It's just like, can you tell us about some of the context windows and the new LLMs, like how large of repos can kind of fit in there? I know beforehand, if you loaded a large enough repo, it'd kind of just hang. And so where are we with that?
Yeah, good question. So that's what I'm still trying to work out with this. The Phi 3 128K. That was going to be a really big addition for us. So I'm a bit bummed that there's a kind of that gibberish producing bug in there after 2 or 3K context. So we're still working that out. That being said, the largest context models are now Llama 3 8 billion has an 8K context, and I believe both of the Gemma 7 billion parameters have 8K context. I mean, that's huge. Like,
Yeah.
To put it like in perspective, I was gonna say to put it in context, but
Yeah.
the most of our live context, our WPE context windows, when you send a chat and we populate it, it's roughly about 7 to 10K total context. So it should pretty much fit within these 8K context windows. And if it can fit about that, it should fit a good bit of your repo. I wouldn't go throwing like a massive amount of files into there, but certainly I've increased the context window. I manually personally did it for every single model that we had in there, and for every new one, it's now at its max length that we can get it to. So yeah, we have some models that are down at 2K, but some models are up at 8, which should kind of help a lot of users out here. That being said, do be aware that the more you fill that context window up, the more VRAM or RAM, if you're on CPU, you're going to use, the longer it's going to take to process. So be aware of that.
Yeah, interesting. And I mean, maybe we should go ahead and put, excuse me, the context windows on when you're selecting the models.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of information that I'd like to include on the UI for our models. Like we put the context length up there, and let the user adjust how much VRAM you're using. Let the user adjust how the number of output tokens. Currently, that's capped at 512. And so yeah, there's a number of things that I want to elevate to the UI here, just to make it a bit more clear about the results that you're getting for a certain query.
Best way to do it: make a GitHub issue, put the details, and I'll smack it in there.
Absolutely.
I will say we do have the Gemini Pro 1.5 in there, which is kind of an early trial for the 2 million context tokens or tokens per context window. And then we are looking at some of the context caching, which would be really interesting. So that's the idea where you can effectively upload an entire code base. This code base can be cached, can be indexed, it can be maintained in that context window. We're not quite there yet, but very quickly around the corner, we'll have some pretty interesting features that can leverage that large of a context window. If you're comfortable with the cloud. Yeah.
So let's see how this will work here.
Yeah.
So,
and what did you add the context there, Brian?
Yeah. So I've added essentially our source code for serving local LLMs. So a little inception here. So how do I manage threads when streaming an LLM response with CPP? Let's see if this will get this. This would be pretty incredible. So larger context window, larger time to process. We'll also see here in the activity monitor, whatever screen it's on. I have another monitor open. Yeah, here we go. Oh, see, this is exactly what I was talking about. Unfortunately, so if I I think I need to reset this. If I put in a smaller snippet, it will not. It'll have normal output. It's something with too large of an input here. So
it did
bug to be aware of.
Relevant files though to the gibberish. Check those out.
It definitely has. I mean, yeah, it's correct. It's something with it being too large, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you have it. Yeah. Anything else you want me to highlight here?
No, I think it's really cool. You can show the IBM model and just ask it, "How's your day going?" You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see.
Let's see what type of attitude it gives us.
All right, we'll go with the 3 billion. See how it does.
I'm expecting. Oh, Nice. A little positivity. Okay.
Doing great, but it's just so short.
Yeah.
Let's see. What would be a good? Oh, here. Let's try it with live context. I'm guessing because it has a limited context window, it probably won't tell me much, but we'll see.
Let's see.
And we can see it over here. Let's go to memory. Yeah, it's increased a bit.
It's been working on some things apparently.
Personal branding website for tech startup, AI generated content. Nice.
Looks like an email thing that we got.
Kind of what we have been doing today, I guess.
There we go.
What do you think? Wow, that's pretty funny. Yeah. So there you have it. I think someone was saying it earlier that I think it was Hitesh on the live stream that it's cool to check out the models and see the different kind of personalities that they have based on like the training data and the training process. So it's pretty fun going through them and seeing how they'll respond to the same question.
Yeah. And for us, it's really interesting to study how these models are running, how we pack context into them and things like that, because we are trying to identify like the proper kind of model that will run continuously behind the scenes, right? To do a whole bunch of activities.
And I think that's, you mentioned this earlier today in the same Hitesh live stream, but that model that will serve to do that will almost certainly have to be fine-tuned specifically for RAG. I saw a really good example of a 5.3 model on the Hugging Face repo that was fine-tuned for RAG, and it built literally to have like small like contextual events in the context rather than just one big large chunk of text. So that's something we'll for sure have to do. We can pick the right size model, or we can serve different size models for different users, and then we can fine-tune that to run exactly with our WP engine, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. All right, well, cool. Let's, Mac, you want to show us, or maybe Mark, maybe you could show us some of the IDE stuff if you've got that up and running, and then I don't know if you're prepped for that, and Mac could show us the desktop.
I've got it all up and running here, and I would say I can show it. I actually have the new Visual Studio Code plugin up and running in debug actually, so I can show some of the performance gains that we got there.
Yeah, I apologize. I have a lot of red going on and these due to some fun debugging.
So for context, we late last night released a massive new update to Pieces OS 10.0.0. With that, we released a whole new version of all of our plugins. This one right here that we're looking at is is just an instance of VS Code. You'll see the Pieces Copilot there on the right. Some work in progress, as you can see with the coloring. But yeah, this was a big release for the plugins because we essentially took the Pieces Copilot that's in the desktop app, extracted it as a Flutter module, Flutter widget basically, and then created a whole web application that serves that Copilot. And now we embedded that within VS Code, our JetBrains plugin, Visual Studio, and some of our other plugins coming soon, and created the sort of bi-directional communication with the extension through here. So that's what we're looking at. And as you can see, I've got all my conversations. What I'm currently working on is we have been doing a lot with regard to the syntax highlighting and the rendering of code, as well as the markdown rendering. So making sure that the markdown that's being displayed in here is actually being displayed as proper markdown, that no content is getting cut off, that you're able to select things like code blocks, and this weird little selection thing there. But with that comes performance implications, right? These are really big trees of elements. Obviously there's an image there. When you introduce things like syntax highlighting, all the different code blocks, we're talking about additional sort of widgets in a Flutter tree, which can add just load to the whole process. So as you guys can see, like Savi, you'll be happy to know that it's scrolling way better, right?
Yeah.
So that's sort of one thing that we're working on. Obviously, like we have all the things that Brian just showed in the demo. So GPT-4o, you can go down, check out the Google models, access them right within your IDE, which is really awesome. You can obviously access all the on-device models as well, right within your IDE. Whatever large language model you're interested in using in the desktop app, it's also going to be right here, because they're sharing the same Copilot, and we can take a look at what that looks like. But yeah, notice same UI, all these things. So that's really exciting to us. It's one or many code bases less to manage, and so we also get the benefits of being able to build new features and deploy everywhere, and everybody gets that all at once. So
yeah. I would imagine from Rosie and Mason's perspective, like documentation and support is much easier when you can say it's this button in every single app,
Yes.
And the screenshots are, they're at least aesthetically aligned. So, a user can very quickly understand, like, okay, this is how I use it in the desktop. This is approximately how I use it in the IDE. Mac, if you want to show the desktop in kind of a narrow mode, we can kind of take a look at them side by side.
I can, but it's not super pretty right now.
Oh, that's
work to do. But as you can see, they're basically the same exact thing.
Yep.
I gotta get rid of this, but yeah, exact same app. And then with the desktop app, we also, as a result of some of this modularization, we now have the ability to open the Copilot in the browser. So if you're interested in using the Copilot in the web, for whatever reason that may be, you can do that now, and that's what you'll see here. Which is
I didn't know that's what that button did, and I clicked it and it was mind blown. That was super cool.
Yeah. And so again, same Copilot, all your conversations. Notice this update doesn't have the scrolling performance improvements, but so you guys can kind of see it before and after. I'm scrolling up and down. It's a little bit laggy. I go back to VS Code, scroll up and down. We're buttered.
Yeah. Is that Wasm, Mac?
This is actually not Wasm. This is
okay. So this is just out the gate. Yeah. If we combine that with Wasm, it's going to be 60 frames per second, no matter what.
Exactly. And the thing that was actually really slowing it down was the markdown rendering of the highlighting.
Yep.
And we were able to add a nice little cache in there, and now it only highlights one time. And it's
nice.
Yeah. One thing that I'm really excited about as well, specifically with being able to launch it in the browser, is if we even just like look at our share app, it's the same one that it's been, but I know Savo mentioned this feature about a month ago, but being able to, immediately start a conversation based off that shared snippet right there in the browser without ever having to, jump to any sort of different applications or anything like that. So like Pieces kind of meets you where you're at, whether it's the browser, the IDE, or anywhere else.
Yeah. So very excited. Savo, was there something you want to mention?
I was just going to say you could pull up IntelliJ as well and show it in that environment. I think.
I've got it. My environment is currently running in IntelliJ. So.
Okay. Nice.
I don't quite have it installed right now.
No worries.
Just because that's how I'm working on this whole thing. But yeah. So.
Yeah. Another thing too, it's just like even support, like down to like just like the number of features, where we're going to be able to move so much quicker now that we have that one unified Copilot. And it also enables us to not only reduce tech debt and reduce like all the code that we would have to maintain, but also too, we can recycle a lot of the talent that was used to go ahead and maintain that old code into the unified Copilot. So we'll have like massive speed up across the board.
Yeah, and I will say the communication is like pretty fast between the Copilot and the IDE. So Mac, you could show like a ask Pieces Copilot question.
Pieces, yep. Ask Copilot. Should ask about this current selection. This is a little messy. Is there a better way to write this? And so, pretty much instantly, we're sending that over the wire into the Copilot. It's picking up on that. Expand this, get a little bit of a bigger view. And then if I want to, it's really nice. It's sort of a live sort of experiment here. Just wipe this and go ahead and insert this new version right at my cursor. And so instantly I've got a better version, looking pretty good there. I don't know if I have any highlighter or formatting, VS Code, not sure. But yeah, we've got that.
Yeah.
And then the communication too. So we've got a lot of work going on with regard to the theming. As people know and love like all their different themes, there's hundreds of them. So I promise we're working on trying to get good support for all the different themes people use. But as you can see here, we're getting there. You know, we've got pretty good support across the board for a lot of the default Visual Studio Code themes, a lot of the material themes. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good in my opinion. There's probably some, you know, like high contrast, low contrast themes that may create little issues. If you experience those, definitely reach out to us, let us know. We can make in different cases there, but yeah, looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's re-rendering pretty nicely as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder, so I mean, when we look, someone mentioned GitHub Code Spaces in here. When we look at that sort of environment, since we are running it through localhost, would we have to also forward that 1025 port?
Yes, that is true. We can figure that out for sure. There is also a world where we might be able to, on our localhost 1000, serve like /app/ Copilot, and that is pointing at the static bundle. So we might be able to piggyback our current server to actually serve the local host as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, no, the idea is just making this thing as isomorphic as possible. Mac, do you want to pull it up in the browser if you have that?
Yep, got it right here.
Nice. Actually, in the web extension.
Oh yeah, in the web extension. Yes. I don't have it installed.
No worries.
That's the challenge of being a developer at Pieces is you're constantly uninstalling, reinstalling, installing staging, installing production, having debug builds running. So yeah, give me a second. I can.
There's a couple of quirks like with the popover we're working on right now with the flashing white. We will get that all optimized and booted up. I think Bjorn mentioned that in the chat here.
Nice. Yeah. Now updated to the latest 2.9.7. That extension, pretty easy. Welcome. And then if we go over to a nice some sort of code site, anybody have one off the top of their head?
Yeah, pub or dart.dev/samples is cool.
I've already just got some of these open just from my current work. But yeah, so the web extension's been doing a lot of work just to make this a similar experience as what you've come to experience elsewhere. And so, you know, usually, let's take a look here. Yep. So that is now pulling all the code snippets that are on this page. You can see them here in a nice compact list. Each one behind the scenes right now is actually running through a little bit of enrichment. They're all loaded in. And you can super easily just save some of these to pieces and refer to them later on. Of course, they'll be saved with all their enriched context and metadata. So if you need to refer back to this website, it should be super easy to do so from any of our plugins, including the desktop app. Again, relevant site. And yeah, and then you've got the Copilot, which, again, is a nice experience with the Copilot. You'll see all that nice new syntax highlighting that I think we all just love to stare at.
Yeah.
And you can continue to have your conversations here in the browser. If there's a code snippet that you're interested in learning more about, let's see if there's one on here.
I was just asking about example for issue 1. Yeah.
That's about this one. Yep. The Dart snippet is setting up the heights for a pinned header and a nested scroll view. So yeah, we're doing a lot of learning about nested scroll views just because we've got some pretty complex widgetries. If you're a Flutter developer out there, you probably understand what we're talking about. And again, yeah, all the models that we were discussing earlier in a nice similar sort of UI you have access to right here in the web browser. So if you're browsing, doing some research, pop open Pieces Copilot, have a chat, ask questions, and get on your way.
Yeah, it's awesome. Really nice.
We actually have a quick question from Discord, but I think they joined the YouTube live stream. And it was kind of back to Brian's point about getting just a bit more granularity around metadata, around models, and then just kind of capabilities at pointing certain, using certain GPUs on your device for models specifically? And is that kind of on the roadmap? Is that a want that we have kind of on our feature set? Being able to,
I've heard that a couple times. That is fully possible. Not right now, but I can picture the line of code that I've seen that will make it possible. So yes, the answer is yes. If that's something you want, please feel free to we can add a support ticket, or whoever asked that. If that's something you really want, go to our GitHub and throw it on there, and that's the easiest way to get a hold of us to get a new feature in.
And to track the progress on it too,
Yep.
With the discussion around it and whatever. There's a ton of work to be done. I will say, like, we're probably one of the only companies right now doing some of this stuff, to be honest. You have some of these other like kind of large language model tester suites where you can pull them down off Hugging Face and try them like that, and they run on Olama, but they are not like integrated into a product, right? And the difference is you can pull them down and test them out. You integrate them into a real world product, you really understand their shortcomings. And that's one of the things that we've worked really hard on, is to understand, how these things behave when they're actually being utilized in a product that developers are using every day. And so, a lot of learning's going on, a lot of polishing coming quickly down the pipeline as well. I'm very excited about our usage of Flutter all over the place. Mac, do you want to show the popover as well real quick?
Yeah, most definitely. We are working on the popover. So if you're familiar with pieces, if you've been around for a while, look, I just love this. I'm sorry. I just love changing the theme and watching it react. In my opinion, it's beautiful. So so the popover, which is Pieces OS, as you know, Pieces OS is a background service. It's running a local server on your machine. In the past, we had, like, on Mac OS, a native Swift sort of toolbar up here. And just as a company, we're just trying to reduce technical debt, increase the efficiency with which we build new products and features and release things. And of course, just maintain some level of consistency in the developer experience so that other people can kind of jump in where others leave off. And this is just another sort of element of that. So we've completely redone the entire Pieces OS tray popover, and what you're looking at here, everybody can see it, correct?
Oh yeah, looking good.
Okay, cool. What we're looking at here is the first version of this thing rebuilt as a Flutter sort of micro application, and so it's got feature parity with what our previous one included, which is the ability to check for updates, set your launch on login settings, optimize the memory usage. We could talk more in detail on some of these. We just recently added the ability to sort of turn on or off or pause your workstream pattern engine, which is what's powering the live context feature, Pieces Copilot, and more. And so there's a whole lot more we want to do here. We want to bring to you some analytics and some of the recently used or most recent contexts with regard to some of the saved materials you have in Pieces or your Copilot conversations, and make that data more useful to you. Things like being able to launch the Copilot directly from this popover are things that we're interested in doing. We've heard a lot of feedback from the community about more sort of centralized settings, and there's a lot of different settings that you can tune within different Pieces products, and things like this I think will help bring the plugins, the desktop app closer together, create a more unified experience, bring more centralized settings and configs, and of course allow us to just move quickly. So really excited there. We're working on some improvements, as you guys can see. Like, we've got the Figma open, get a little sneak peek. We've got some adjustments to the UI that we want to make. And of course, with anything Pieces OS, we've got to make that work the same on Mac OS, Windows, and hopefully at some point Linux. I know the Linux users are itching for something like this, and don't get me wrong, we hear you. So we're working on it.
Yeah, I mean, we I think we have enums right now in the 10.0 release for 7 or 8 micro apps. Anything from every app in the every view in the desktop app, your snippets, your search views, stuff like that, down to things that'll be coming in the near future, like the workstream feeds. And I mean, I could imagine you have a Copilot open right there in that popover. Right, you pop it over, you ask it a question, you're good to go. That type of thing. So yeah, I just think it's pretty exciting to have this isomorphic Flutter everywhere. And we'll work on the performance and things like that. But yeah, it's a really nice start.
Yeah, that's something we didn't touch on. Just performance generally on this live stream yet. Like, massive shout out to the ML team as well as Brenton and everyone, but for reducing the WPE CPU utilization by over 50%. It's like, it used to, like, in beta or alpha, it used to kind of melt your machine a little bit.
Yeah.
And now you hardly notice it's running. That it was such a huge job across the board. It's a massive shout out. Definitely like a hidden improvement in this release for sure.
Yeah. Major kudos to you guys. I know that stuff was not easy, and I'm sure that there was some lost sleep over it. But yeah,
Kieran described it as it was a lot of C++ kind of memory management, doing things a bit smarter, and he essentially did he felt like he was doing like a 2-week cram for like a master's level C exam. He is a master of C++ memory and all that now. So yeah, huge shout out to Kieran. A lot of sleepless nights in there to get that over the finish line.
Yeah. I had a similar story on Rust for the new syntax highlighter. So it's crazy. Mac, yeah, you want to show some of the gallery view with your stuff? You got some variety, or are you just everything Dart?
No, I've got some variety for sure. Here, let me share my screen again. Everybody, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in terms of the syntax highlighting, you mean, Savo?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so look, we've been getting reports from the community about syntax highlighting for over a year, if not longer now. We know like syntax highlighting is super important. We're really too. We don't want to see just a chunk of white or black text to represent our beautiful code and obviously the code that we've worked hard to write. So yeah, Savo and Brenton just cranked a new syntax highlighter that is compatible with Dart and Flutter, both Flutter platform instances like macOS, Windows, and Linux desktops, and Flutter Web, which is not easy. So you can see some of that here. So this is a nice little screenshot. This was what the code highlighting looked like in a previous version of Pieces. It's okay. This is a little Dart snippet. It's not horrible, not very exciting though. It's kind of bland, kind of boring. If I click View as Code, you'll see what that looks like now. So it's lighter, it's brighter, it's more detailed. There's just more granularity in the parsing and coloring, which is really nice. If we keep moving forward here, oh my gosh, I got hit with the focus bug.
I think it just it now just meets like modern expectations for how code is rendered in the IDE or the browser or anywhere. That's how we're lagging behind there a bit, and now we're fully at the forefront. This is how it should look and how people expect it to be.
Yeah,
I would say it's even outperforming some browsers or
no
some
doubt.
IDEs, to be honest, which is crazy.
It's what you expect, I mean, if you go and look at an IDE and you see some of this highlighting, well, this isn't a good example, but let's take a look at light. We're just jumping around here.
Let's keep the theme on red.
So I mean, look, you see this in here, you come to expect something similar where you're just, you're highlighting your strings, you're highlighting your classes, you're highlighting variables, you're highlighting, your syntax and your parentheses and semicolons and stuff in a certain way. And that's here now, right? Like it's really on par with that. You've got your strings, you've got your classes, you've got your variables, you've got your syntax, etc. And it looks great.
Yeah, so, Mac, let's try and stress test it here. You want to copy that whole file and look at that bash script real quick. Scroll down a little bit.
Yeah, this bash script is one that I like to show off too, because in the past, I don't unfortunately have a previous build handy, but in the past, this whole thing was just white.
Yeah.
Except for the comments. I mean, the comments were comments in a nice, ugly green, but now it looks beautiful and looks like what you'd expect if you just opened up a bash file or a shell script in your IDE. So Yeah, really excited about that. What were you going to say that you wanted me to
say? Let's stress test it and copy that whole VS Code file and just paste that into the. Yeah, what do we got here? TypeScript. Yeah, just Command A, Command C.
TypeScript 400 something lines.
Let's see how this does here.
Let's see what happened. What's going on?
It's gonna process. Hang on. Let's see.
Nah, I've been in and out of different versions. Just give it a sec. There you go.
Yeah, pop that thing open in the gallery view.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's
ready to see.
Yeah, 400 lines of code right there. Just looking really great.
Fast, beautiful, very nicely highlighted.
Yeah, you can switch between. I think the rendering of snippet to snippet is pretty fast too.
Of which one?
With your arrows.
Here. Sorry.
Yeah. Check out the rendering, like the thrash test for navigation. Yeah, that's pretty snappy, I'd say.
Yeah, pretty snappy. We drop a little frame there, if you can tell, but it's what we're going to end up doing on the desktop app side of things is actually what we just brought into the
the VS Code.
VS Code extension. So, I mean, if you don't mind, I'll share a little detail on what was going on if you want.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So with these, specifically with these, like these chats, this whole thing right here in these message bubbles, obviously you've got a whole list, right? You've got a list of your messages. Each list could have n number of messages. And then each message is its own sort of series of markdown. And within a specific, message that's markdown, you have n number of widgets that represent that markdown as Flutter widgets. And so, for example, I don't know if I've got a good one here. So this one's a good one. So you've got a paragraph, so that's a widget. You've got a code block, that's a big widget with widgets within it. You've got this widget here, which is a header, and then you've got a divider. Those are two widgets. Then you've got a list. Those are widgets. These are all widgets. So my point being is you've got this massive list that represents all your messages, and then within the message, you've got this sub list of all the markdown elements that represent that content. And so that's super hard. And when you introduce something like a complex syntax highlighter, we're introducing, in this example right here, you've probably got a couple hundred additional widgets within the tree that represent each keyword or sort of element of that syntax. And so it's creating a lot of weight. And so what we just introduced is a nice caching mechanism so that we can only syntax highlight this stuff one time and make sure that, whether or not we scroll into view, don't scroll into view, it's only going to syntax highlight it at a maximum of really twice, which is one for light mode, one for dark mode, depending on which version you're in, and that never again. So if you've got a massive tree, you're scrolling all the way up, that widget farther below is actually going to be removed from the tree. So that when you scroll down, it's virtualized. So if it comes back into focus, it's not going to highlight it again and again and again. So we were able to smooth that out really nicely and maintain sort of the sophistication of the tree and get people on their way.
Nice. It's looking good. Yeah, lists are always hard. Virtual lists are insane, whether you're doing web dev or whether you're building Flutter apps or anything like that. It's just like lists can be crazy. That's for sure.
They're not fun. They're pretty hard. And but happily enough, like we didn't have to do too much config on the sort of list structure. We just did some little compute to build a cache of some data and pull from the cache if it's there, and otherwise run it once and done.
Nice. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of a recap. I mean, basically Flutter everywhere, brand new large language models, things like that. I can publicly speak about a couple of things that are coming up. So number one, we're going to be focused on longer term, more granular memory of the workstream copilot. And so that has some pretty interesting nuances there around how you embed it, how you search it, how you retrieve against it, even just interpreting the user's query. What was I doing last week? What was I doing just now? What was I doing a couple minutes ago? All three of those represent different time ranges. And so that's pretty interesting. And then I will say very quickly in August and early September, we'll be rolling out the Copilot feeds, the workstream feeds. I'll go ahead and just share, for those who are around, I'll go ahead and show you guys some of that stuff, which is cool. But now you can understand why we're working so hard on Flutter being everywhere. But let me pull this up. So this is actually straight out of our partner presentation that I made for our Series A. And so, we talked about a couple of the phases here, and you saw them in the demos, but phase one was just copy and paste, right? Users can save based on optimization, being able to generate things, iterate on that stuff, and then save from what you generate. And then we're in phase 3 here with the workstream engine. So if you forget to save something, or you don't realize like, hey, I might need this later, Pieces can double check you and go ahead and cache that and make sure it's available for Copilot context. But the beauty of all this stuff, like those small models, the OCR stuff, the network, the file stuff, and even just the rendering of everything, that's all about to sum up into kind of this phase 4, the Copilot feeds. And so what that looks like is anywhere you are in your entire kind of workstream context, if you're in the browser, the IDE, the collaboration environment, you will have the workstream feed, which understands your current context as it changes. So as you scroll or as you switch from one app to the other, and it'll say, okay, I'm looking at some Webpack right now. What is everything that I have in Pieces related to this current context? What are the related snippets, related links, related Copilot chat, related stuff? And then when you switch that context now to your IDE, it'll determine, hey, was there anything in the browser that I was just researching that now should be kind of carried over to the IDE and surfaced in that environment? And if there wasn't, that's no problem. It's going to go ahead and say, what have we saved? What have you saved? And can we surface that stuff based on your new context? So effectively, it is an unprompted system that kind of saves things for you and then surfaces things for you in real time across your entire operating system. And we think about that as like a heads-up display for developers. But yeah, those will be completely written in Flutter. I know the data layer already has a really good kind of Gen 1 that we'll start to prototype pretty soon here. And yeah, it's coming along.
I'm so pumped for that feature. It's the feeds. It's like, I don't know if you said it, but you said it before that one of the hardest things with LLMs is like knowing the right question to ask. Yep. And that'll be like a thing of the past for this. Like it's taking that element of user error out of this completely, and the Copilot will proactively ask itself the question for you. Just pretty.
I hear that a lot from users when we get support tickets. They're like, this isn't working. The Copilot isn't answering my question. And I'm like, well, what did you ask it? Like, not to say that like it's not necessarily your fault if you just don't know how to ask an LLM. These are new things. This is a new way to interact with the technology. So if we can just go ahead and provide that for you, I think it's going to make everyone's lives really easy.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because every single LLM, you have to ask the question in a different way, right? You have to structure your context in a different way. And so that's kind of a non-scalable approach to products, because you might ask a question in one way with a certain product, go over to another product, and you have to, fully revamp how you ask the question. So of course, a little bit of that is on the prompt engineering side, which, we're working on actively. But then, a lot of that is saying like, is the Copilot conversation the right form factor to fully maximize the capabilities around these products, right? And so, we think that, personally, at least me, I think that conversational Copilots are a pain. You got to type out your sentences, you got to go back and forth. It probably gets it wrong. You ask it to adjust it, you edit it, you do all this work just to, you end up transferring your typing from just writing code to actually like, having a conversation. And so, for us, we're like, let's not send users down that rabbit hole of Copilot chats. Of course, you can always have them, but let's do better, right? Let's give users what they need when they need it. So there we go. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm super excited to see how this kind of plays into obviously the open source side as well, especially these kind of new modules everywhere. I really want to get a Dart SDK up. It's a little difficult, but I really want to get that up just because Dart and Flutter are so powerful. Yeah. And that's why we've taken scale. And we've essentially taken it to scale at this point. where we're going to put it in everything that we have. And just because it can ship anywhere, you write it once and it ships anywhere, and it has some really powerful capabilities. We were up actually in Columbus, Mark, Rosie and I, and Mark gave a great example, a demo at a coding coffee of how you can make it interoperable with different languages as well. So it has tons of functionality. You're not limited just to Dart. You can bring in Rust, you can bring in C#, C++, whatever you want.
Kotlin.
So yeah, Kotlin, if you want. So super exciting going forward. It's a lot to look forward to, a lot of work to get done, but excited about it.
We'll make it happen.
Right.
Awesome. Well, we could probably wrap it up. I think it was good to just do it like a casual, hey, let's check in on the day of the product hunt and whatnot. I know, everyone's scrambling to get some final stuff done, but we have another in-person live demo here at 5:30. So yeah.
I just want to give a quick note that for those of you who are tracking our product hunt launch, we just hit 500 upvotes, and we're doing really well. And again, just huge thank you to the community, because we've kind of spent the last few months really focusing on our community, and it has just paid off in spades today, seeing the whole Pieces community come out and talk to us and promote us and tell us why they like it, how they use the live context. I'm just so grateful for this whole community. So thanks, guys. You're the reason we do this.
That's right.
Rock on.
Get top 3 on the week. We're almost there.
Oh my gosh, we got
it. Sweet.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. And stay tuned. Obviously, a lot of updates coming in the next months. Yep. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Cool. See ya.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.